Bill, what was the original name of your street?
Whiting's Neck Road. And,
which still exists.
Yes, it does, but not in front of my house. It does. and the story was, I kind of new to the area. I did not have a chance to know the personality, but we did know the name of our road, and we sent it out to all of our friends. We moved to this new address on a certain road. Well, we came back from a couple weeks vacation, and there was a notice that said, we've given you a chance to, we're changing the name of the road. We give you a chance to appeal. If you do not like the new name, you have a certain window to do it. Well, the window happened the day before. The window closed the day before that before we got back from vacation. I said, this is going to be simple. I'm just going to take you down to the county commission and find the lady or the person responsible for it, and they'll understand the ramifications, and they'll go along with it. Well, that was before I met Mary Kackley. And it was the start of what I considered one of the more enjoyable relationships when I worked with the county government. I don't know of anyone more intelligent, more honest, and more perceptive than what Mary Kackley was. I did not win that battle. I did not even come close to winning that battle. And I walked out of that hearing, realized that I had been bested, and I had. Okay. Mary, it's great. You done me wrong, but you're a good friend.
Well, at least you know I didn't choose favorites.
No,
because you've always been one of my favorites.
That's right. Yeah. She's a wonderful person.
Mary Kackley, welcome back and good morning to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, good to see you again.
It's good seeing you too, Rob. Been a long time.
Yes, it has. I think, you've been retired now, almost 5 years?
About 4.
4?
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think we visited with you before your retirement.
Right.
And a long time ago when I started the talk show across town, you were one of my first guests. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know anything, much like today, but I knew even less then. And I was, kind of learning my way around who's elected to what office, who is in what job, and how things happen. And you were very kind and very helpful. And I always wanted to thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. You have brought with you Pastor Sherry Miller. Pastor Miller, good morning to you. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning. You're welcome.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
The two of you are doing some work together cooperatively, a couple of different churches involved in this, where you're trying to set up and get the word out. I think it already exists, a cold weather shelter, and we've had some seriously cold weather this winter, and I know it's returning now, too. So, Pastor Miller, who do you represent?
I'm at St. John's Lutheran Church on the corner of Queen and Martin.
And Mary, you?
The Christ Reformed United Church of Christ on East Burke Street.
Okay, and where is the shelter physically located?
Well,
it rotates.
It rotates between the two locations.
Yes.
Okay, and you started this when?
Last week.
Yeah, you did that in stereo. Very nice. Yeah.
We're on the same page.
Yes. What is the need, the perceived need for this shelter as you look around the community right now?
So there are some shelter opportunities in town, but we organized with the Martinsburg Initiative, Margaret Kersey and Caroline Wilson, a social worker with CORE, I believe. The three of us saw the need for something called a low barrier shelter, and we based that on the shelters in Winchester, known as Watts, and the shelter in Charlestown. What's the county?
Jefferson
County. Thank you.
Okay.
And so we have this low barrier shelter that really only asks people not to bring drugs, not to bring weapons, and they can come and spend the night in a safe space.
What does low barrier mean?
That there are no standards other than the few rules: no weapons, no drugs, no alcohol, and there's probably one or two, no pets and no children. It has to be 18 and older because we don't ask any questions beyond that.
Male or female?
Yes, both.
Okay, and you have room for how many in the shelter?
Right now we can accommodate 20 people.
And is that basically 20 beds?
20 beds, that's correct.
And they can stay how long?
They stay one night, 7 p.m. at night, to 7 a.m. And if they stay tonight, they'll be reserved for tomorrow night if they wish to. So there are availabilities every night on who comes first, I guess, is the way we have that set up right now.
Okay, and you at this point have a capacity of 20. What's the typical use been so far?
I'm sorry.
You have a capacity of 20. What's been the usual? What's been your average census or population?
We started out with 5
The first night,
for
yes.
the very first night, and on our last night, which was Friday night, this past Friday night, we ended with 11.
So the word is getting around.
I believe that number is there around 11 at St. John's this week.
Do you provide meals as well?
Snacks and things to munch. The church decided we were going to do some grab and go breakfast foods, but there's other volunteers that are bringing all kinds of things in.
Now, Pastor used an example. If they stayed tonight, there'd be first dibs for tomorrow night. How long does that continue? Is that just 2 nights, or is that 6 nights, or is that 6 weeks?
That's for as long as you stay at the shelter.
So if you one night, you have first dibs for the next night, regardless of how long you've been in the shelter.
That is correct.
All right, so you mentioned Friday was the last night. Do you provide Saturday, Sunday as well?
Yes, they left the UCC Reformed Church Saturday morning after a week of staying there, and then the beds were set up and set into Luther Hall, which is the fellowship hall at St. John's. Saturday morning actually, and then Saturday night was the first night there.
Okay. And do you have volunteers that operate this and that they oversee and provide the help facilitate? And
Margaret Kersey is from the Martinsburg Initiative,
Right.
and she has the nonprofit that has hired the staff to oversee this. We have volunteers who basically from our churches go in and love on people, sit with them, play games. We're going to show a movie at the end of the week here, one night, and so the staff can be the role, the task.
Is the staff there overnight?
Yes, we have
Okay.
staff overnight. They cover the whole 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. time. And the city of Martinsburg gave us a large grant to be able to hire the staff to do that. So it's not just Mary and I, it's a whole group of people that are making this happen.
how much of a grant was it?
I do not have that number in my
I
head.
don't know, but it was enough. We had only planned to hire 2
Right.
originally.
Two
and
what? I'm sorry, two what?
2 staff.
2 people.
Two people staff, okay.
And it ended up we could hire 5.
Now, you keep mentioning 7 p.m. Is that when it opens, or is that when people must be there?
So 7 p.m. is when it opens, but the 7 to 8 p.m. hour is the registration. So if you've not been to the shelter, you need to be there between 7 and 8 p.m. to be able to get a bed.
If I'm now going to my reserved bed from last night, can I show up at 10:30 or 11?
If there is communication with the staff the day before, there are some people who work.
Right.
And they need to come in at 11 o'clock because their work shift is over. And so if that is arranged with the staff, then there is the ability to come in at different times.
So describe that. What is it like a dormitory where the cots are lined up with each other?
I can't speak about any place else, but at St. John's, we have this large fellowship hall that has held 20 cots. A number of tables are set up so that they can either sit at them or play games at them. I had someone put some newspaper print on a table so that they could color and doodle on the table if they wanted to. We have games sitting out there, and chess, checkers, anything like that just to occupy time and to kind of have opportunity to, I think there's puzzles, coloring pages, things like that.
And shower facilities? And
We do not have shower facilities. When I looked into that, because of the age of the building, it was an insurmountable. So in the future, we're hoping we could get for, down the road for the shelter, maybe portable showers, the ability to be able to have that. But there are showers that are offered throughout the week through through the city that at other locations that people can sign up for and can go. And I think at the mission
Rescue
allows
Mission, yeah.
showers for men there.
Right.
And then is it Catholic? What's the house?
Catholic Charities.
Catholic Charities has a house that women can go get a shower at, and they have set hours as well. Likewise, we don't serve a hot breakfast or a hot meal because there are other places around town that are doing so throughout the week.
Do you advise the people who are staying with you where they can go for those services?
The staff have been amazing. They come from a variety of social service programs in the city. I'm real confident in them providing any kind of care that anyone needs.
You mentioned that one of the folks staying with you was coming from work. How common is that versus someone who's living on the street and maybe doesn't have a job?
So I do not know the statistics for that here because we're really new at the shelter stuff here. But when I gleaned information from Watts, they were telling us that sometimes upwards to 70% of the people that stay in their shelters work.
Bill?
So, but I do not know the statistic for us right now.
And there's certainly a need. We have several facilities like this, or similar with the rescue mission and the like, but it seems like the need is far surpasses the availability. Who came up with the idea, and how did it come to fruition?
So it was, I arrived at St. John's as its pastor in the middle of July of 2022. And that first winter, I walked into this big fellowship hall on a 17-degree day, and I felt the warmth walking into the building, and I wanted to have homeless in that night. And I made some phone calls to the leadership. I gleaned information from people who were in the know, and it didn't happen that night. As a matter of fact, it didn't happen until this last Saturday night. So it's been a 3-year endeavor for me to find how to do this. I have never had any experience with dealing with this, but I knew there was a need. And somewhere along the line, I went to the ministerium of Martinsburg and said, we need to deal with this. They pulled Watts and Jefferson County in, and we had a great conversation as a start off. And
now,
then
you say Watts. What do you mean by Watts?
Watts is the Winchester program. They've
Okay.
been functioning since 2008.
Okay.
So I gleaned information from them, but I knew I needed a nonprofit, and I didn't know how to go about doing that. And one day it was just me, and the next day I met Caroline Wilson, and the next day Margaret Kersey comes on board, and for the last year it's been the three of us trying to get this started. And then we pulled the churches in, and I tried to communicate with 42 downtown churches, and Mary came in to participate with us, and I think we've had about 10 different churches that have said that there's a need and an interest, and have either financially supported us or are hosting. Some are unable to because of circumstances. There's some renovations going on, some child care programs that are about start earlier than the shelter closes. So we have to work through some of those things.
Yeah, one of the churches in the past that participated is First Presbyterian Church, which I'm a member of, but we're going through some renovations right now that would preclude us from participating. So, yeah.
Right. So in that process, we've ended up with 5 churches.
This year.
I'm sorry.
This year.
This year, okay.
Do you have a feel for
He
the?
didn't get that, Mary. Now he's got it.
Do you have a feel for the where people were the night before they came to you? Is it from another shelter? Is it from the street? Is it?
I believe one of the conversations when people register is, where were you at last night? It is not our desire in any way, shape, or form to compete with the others that
No,
are
I'm
doing
not
the
suggesting. I'm
mission.
just wondering how that people arrive from somewhere, right? There's a new shelter. If you build it, they will come. And I'm just wondering where they started. Are you rescuing them from the street, or is it a?
To my knowledge, most of them were living in their cars or were
Okay.
homeless. That's the way I understand this setup for the last 2 weeks.
When we opened that first Saturday night, I was at our church at 6:30 to allow the workers access to the church. And when I pulled in the parking lot at 6:30, there were 5 people waiting to get in, and they were all 5 homeless. They had been on the streets.
I don't know how to ask this. Do they know each other? Is there a community of homeless that knows each other and communicates?
So I can't answer that from the shelter perspective, but I can from a church that's been feeding. Once a month, the fourth Wednesday of each month, we do a free community meal for the community. And then for November and December, we were doing a morning brunch every Tuesday morning. And we'll probably pick that up in February, but with the shelter being there, we have to find our way through just the procedures and the processes with some of that. But there is a community. There are many people who know each other and support each other, but there's also a large number of people who have a place to live but may not have the financial means to get to the end of the month with food. So they end up coming and being a part of that. So I would say, yes, there's a community, but it's not a closed community because it depends on if people are gathering for clothing or gathering for food. It's a little fluid, I would say.
It is. And for the past 22 years, our church has provided a weekly meal every Thursday, beginning at 5 o'clock. And I would say that, yes, you would be very surprised at the grapevine that exists in the homeless communities. They get the word around. It may take a couple days, but they will get the word around.
Are there any expectations of the individuals to spend the night at the shelter? Do they have to do anything? Do they have to appear in a certain manner? Do they need to be clean? Do they need to be sober? Do they need to be non-aggressive, or what's the case?
So staff are trained in finding those folks who may be inebriated because there are certain rules that you have to deal, like you don't want to let them lay down and go to sleep. So you engage in that. The staff take care of all of that. We would prefer people not be high. We would prefer people not be drunk. But we also know that if you're in 17-degree weather, sometimes you do things to keep yourself warm. And
what about drugs? Have you had a problem with drugs yet?
We have not had a problem with them, but that is one of the questions when people come in, if they have any, that they need to get rid of them. They cannot bring them in. They're aware of that.
That's part of the low barrier. You said no drugs, no weapons. Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah. But you see, if you were outside all day long for weeks on end, and you finally get a place where you can lay your head down and you know you're safe, you're not going to create a lot of problems. You're going to sleep. You're going to be somewhere where it's safe. What I hear in the homeless community is you have to be aware whenever you have anything that someone could come and take it, or that bodily injury could be a part of that community. So when you have a safe bed, you're not going to create a lot of conflict. We're fully aware that there are some folks with mental health issues. But again, the staff have training in that area too, and they can de-escalate when things get out of control. And to my knowledge, that has not happened at all in these last 2 weeks.
No, we had no problems whatsoever. Everyone was congenial. One thing I observed in supporting what Pastor Miller just said, the first couple nights, 8 o'clock, they were in bed, sound asleep.
Like Rob.
And then the third night, after they'd had 2 really good nights of sleep and not having to be worried about their surroundings and their safety and things like that, they became more animated. And then they would talk and they'd be more involved in whether they wanted to play a game or get a cup of coffee or a snack or something like that. But we'd sit and talk, and and have a really good time. And they were so respectful and so grateful.
So obviously your church.
We have 1 minute left, by the
your
way.
Nominations are well aware of this. I'm not sure how much the general public is, but if someone in the general public wishes to make a contribution or wishes to get involved, what would they do?
There are QR codes out there that that you can link to. Martinsburg Initiative has contacts on there to either donate or to volunteer, and the posters are around town as to where we're hosting at what week.
So start at the Martinsburg Initiative's website and work your way from there. Best way to do
Excellent.
it.
That's the way to go.
Yeah. Hey, congratulations to the two of you for the work that you're doing in your congregations. It takes a lot of people to pull something like this off. And our first guest tomorrow morning is Pastor Tim Garino from the Rescue Mission. He, of course, knows that as well as anybody. So all the best to the both of you. And remember, go to the Martinsburg Initiative website, and you can find out more about what's going on with this project here in Martinsburg. Thanks so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having us, Rob.
Mary, good to see you again.
Good seeing you too.
Pastor Miller, great to meet you.
Nice
One
to
of my
meet
favorite
you.
people. So.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Thank you so much.